Titty.
Yo.
We're recording the conversation with you right now.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Right.
Why don't you bring us in? Go ahead and record an intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the 101 freeway in my wife's car because mine's broken down. Let's get into it from my iPhone.
Yeah, that's a little too real. All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Get Into It. I'm not going to say what episode it is, Dave, because
no problem.
I don't know. It feels like, what are we going to be getting into? Like episode 1050. It just seems silly. We are broadcasting from the Tequila Room at Pink Taco, the historic Pink Taco, Sunset Boulevard. We got the
Chateau Marmont.
The Chateau Marmont. A lot of celebrities have hung out there. A lot of celebrities have died there. True. It's a crazy place. You know what's really cool is that they have a billboard right down the street, I would say a couple blocks, of the expanding universe of Ashley Garcia.
I've seen it.
Which is the show that Mario Lopez and myself are part of. And it was kind of cool. You know, it's been kind of cool because I saw billboards in Times Square.
Right.
I wasn't there, but I saw our cast went to Times Square and they had digital billboards, all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah. Paulina and Bella took pictures in front of Times Square and here.
It seems like it's doing pretty well.
The response I'm getting is pretty cool, man.
It is, right?
Yeah,
Lots of people
like
talking about it. I'm excited about it. Keep checking that out. What I want to do an update on what I've been doing before I introduce our guest.
Yeah, please.
I have been putting one of my movies, online for Google Play, for Amazon, and for iTunes.
Right.
And it's been interesting because I'm using Quiver, right? So I put it on Quiver, and I uploaded the movie.
Right.
I uploaded the artwork recently.
Nice.
And it asked me if I had a English subtitle. I didn't, but if you push a button, they charge you and they do it.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And then they said, do you have a Spanish subtitle? And I said, no, I do not. I pushed the button and they do it. And then they asked, do I have a Spanish dub? I pushed the button and said no. Right. And they said, we'll do it. Okay. So that cost, I think, is somewhere in the vicinity of $1,100.
So it's about $500 a piece.
Yeah. So I'm doing that. And once I pushed all of those buttons, once I uploaded my artwork, which, by the way, is very specific when you're putting out a streamer, and once I got the movie up, all the buttons went green.
Yeah.
And they said, give us a month and we're going to come back to you and give you a release date. So
perfect.
The update is.
Can you say which one it is?
Which movie? Yeah, it's called Love and Betrayal. It's a true crime drama, true story. And I'm
out
looking
of
forward to
Riverside, correct?
Yeah, out of Riverside. Oh, you're from Riverside.
Absolutely.
Did you know the story?
I heard about it back when it happened. I didn't know the specifics, but I did. I know where the place is where it all went down.
Where it all happened. Yeah. So hopefully in the next month or so, I'm going to get that out there, and I'll be able to report back how we're doing. Dave and I, we have some plans to blast it out on social media.
Yeah, we're going to do a little marketing plan.
Get some celebrity endorsements.
Yep. And also we're gonna blast it over there in Riverside.
We're going to blast it in Riverside.
Yeah.
That's going to be big. Well, thank you for that. Okay, so here's the thing about the show. Let's Get Into It really gets deep into people's stories, people's journeys, where you came from, how you got where you were going in the business. And those stories have been so interesting because it's never the same road. It's always remarkable left turn, right turn. Some people even get stopped along the way and make all kinds of different, have all kinds of different detours to getting where they end up.
Very true.
Which is a big theme for me in the past month or so about not being stopped.
I've seen you in action.
Oh yeah,
yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool to see. I mean, hey, you don't let anything stop you, which is really, really remarkable because a lot of people do get discouraged, especially in this business.
Thank you.
Away.
You. Yeah, thank you for saying that. And it's true. You do. You get stopped and you get discouraged and you stop moving. But not being stopped is a big theme. And the guy that's here today definitely has had a few resurgences in his life. He's crossed continents
Yeah.
and made it happen in different countries. And I would imagine that is a complicated thing to do. So I want to introduce him, and I want him to tell us a little bit about how he did it, because he is currently the executive producer of Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings
On
Lovely.
Disney Plus.
on Disney Plus. This is not the first season; it's the second season, right?
It's the first season on Disney Plus.
Okay,
Which is quite different and unique compared to the old season, which was on Freeform.
got it.
On,
So this gentleman's name is Simon Lythgoe.
Hey, Simon.
Hey, welcome, Simon. Thank you for being here. It's I've been wanting to get you on the show for a long time.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
I think
it's really lovely to be here.
you're-
What a great location, by the way.
Thank
This
you.
is the most artistic tequila tasting room I've ever been in.
What's sad is that we can't drink any tequila.
Unfortunately, I've had too many instances with tequila, and I promised myself I would never drink tequila again ever since November 4th, 2008.
Oh,
now,
wow.
now here's the thing: is that he cannot tell us this story. Otherwise, the Secret Service would run in here, stop the podcast, take the tape.
Wow.
It's actually true. I did sign the Official Secrets Act that I couldn't technically talk about my incident with the Secret Service and Senator McCain on election night with Obama.
Okay, so I think you've gone too far.
Probably have.
we can Google it. Okay, don't Google it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
don't Google it.
You've already got the NSA and CIA trying to figure out where I am right now.
But you know, everyone.
This is like interviewing Snowden.
Everyone has had their tequila story, but I have to say, most people I try to turn, after you told me your tequila story, I realized I'm not going to try.
It's a pretty ugly story.
I have a lot of respect for why you've stopped drinking tequila, and we're going to leave it at that.
This is why I'm drinking vodka right now,
That's
as
right.
opposed to, which is more Russian because I'll be living there next year. So,
So what I want to get into is let's go backwards. We know you did Disney Fairy Tale Weddings, and we know it's a big hit.
Very proud of this
yeah,
big show.
it's the most beautiful, heartwarming show.
People love shows about wish fulfillment, and I think in a lot of ways, when you watch Disney Fairy Tale Weddings, you think, wouldn't it be amazing if that was me? Wouldn't it be amazing if I got proposed to on the Das Glacier?
Well, yes, and which made it my life very, very difficult because last year I proposed to the most beautiful lady, Raya Hudson, and guess what? She's comparing me to the proposals we do on the show,
Wait a
which are
minute.
like 60 feet under the ocean or on top of a glacier, or we'll do a
Right.
flash mob in Disneyland.
Right.
I'm like, I love her so much, but the chances of me actually doing that for my proposal was kind of impossible.
But wait a minute. If you're the executive producer of one of the coolest wedding shows on television, you'd...
One of the... What do you mean one of
I'm
the...
sorry.
You're right.
The...
Thank you, Mark.
If you're the executive producer of the most beautiful, popular show on television about weddings and proposals, are you saying that you didn't propose to Rhea on a glacier somewhere?
I'm saying that, unfortunately, I didn't have the budget that I have on Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings or the team. I mean, you know, it's a team effort. We have the most amazing other executive producer, Anne Lewis Roberts, who you may have heard of.
Yes,
And we
I
have
know
an
her well.
amazing art director. And we have it's not just me, it's a team of people
Yeah.
that make that show. I did not have that team of people helping
You
me
didn't
with
pull
my
any
other proposal.
favors? You didn't
Oh,
pull
I may
any
have pulled
strings?
one or two favors.
Okay, good.
With my
Right.
art director,
All right.
Max, who actually comes from you, my good
That's
friend
right.
Max. is
I've
a-
worked with Max on Mexico's Next Top Model.
Yeah, and we owe him so much for Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings.
Really?
because,
Did he do a good job?
He's you tell me. Look at what he look at
that's
the
amazing.
what the weddings look like.
Yeah.
I mean, they're breathtaking. They're the most beautiful things in the world. And
You know, he's a great story. I should have him on. He would
Yes,
be an
he is a
interesting,
great
right?
story.
Because
Max
he's come out of he came out of
from-
Latin America.
Yeah, from nothing to
Yeah.
to working with us.
Yeah,
so he's gotta
remarkable.
be pretty impressive.
So let's go backwards a little bit because obviously you've had enormous success and you're a premier producer and you have the skill that very few producers in this town have, which is you have an amazing ability to produce music as well as musical numbers and make them look amazing and sort of intermix them and intertwine them with a show. That's not an easy thing to do. Where did you get your start? What's the earliest memory that you have of wanting to be in show business?
Well, I can answer that very, very easily. Obviously, with my accent, you've probably figured out that I'm not from around
Mexican.
Yeah.
here. Guatemala.
East LA.
No. No, I was born in England. I had a stint in Australia, but I've been in Los Angeles since 2002, which is why my accent is so confused. And please stop me. If you need me to translate or use sign language, please let me know.
We close caption.
Yeah, we close caption.
So,
always.
no, I was born in England, and my earliest memory was when I was 3 years old, going on set with my father, Nigel Lythgoe, who was then the choreographer of The Muppet Show.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, as a 3-year-old going on a television set with multi-cameras and these puppets, Miss Piggy and Kermit, and seeing them dance and seeing them alive, immediately I knew exactly what I wanted to do. There was no question about it. And both my parents are workaholics. I definitely got that from them as well. We're very, very dedicated to our, craft, if you want to call it a craft, which it really is a craft. We work the most extreme hours, and from Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, most of the time we were working through the night.
Right.
We didn't sleep for days. But wasn't it so worth it? And we love our jobs. That's why we do it. You have to love your job, otherwise you're not going to last in this business, because, as you said earlier, this business is ups and downs. I may have worked on the number one show in the world, American Idol, but my show afterwards was the biggest disaster probably in Fox history.
Right.
So, it's good and bad, and you just have to sustain and keep plowing through.
While you were visiting your father on the Muppets, what was your mom doing?
So both my parents originally were dancers. Both of them then became choreographers. My dad went into television and in the UK and choreographed the biggest dance company on television called the Young Generation, and he met my mother, who was a dancer on the Young Generation.
Oh.
Guess that wouldn't happen so much right now, but back then they got married and had me, and then so immediately as a child I was surrounded by music because they were dancers and then choreographers. My mother went into theatre, my dad went into television. So at an early age, I could see how passionate they were about the business, and I obviously saw how happy they were working. I didn't have much choice. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. There was no question.
It's like in your DNA.
For sure.
Yeah.
There was no, let me go and become a real estate agent, or let me try something else. It was I know exactly what I want to do. And the funny thing was, even from the early days of the Muppets, I remember seeing, we call them floor managers in the UK. Here they're stage managers in America. And I remember seeing the stage manager, and he was the boss of the stage and of the Muppets. And he could direct the actors. And I was like, one day I will be that person. I will
Damn
be
you,
the stage
Kermit.
manager. Yeah. And to go on set, I needed permission off the stage manager. So I knew immediately that was my goal in life, was to become a stage manager from about 3 or 4 years old. And then I went into theatre, became a stage manager when I started work at 14 years old.
Wow.
And then, even though I was still at school, I was
Wait,
still in my holidays.
you were a stage manager at 14?
I was assistant stage manager.
Wow,
By
that's still a big
16,
deal.
I was a stage manager.
Wow.
I was, I
That's
said,
what's up.
I knew exactly what I wanted to do. There was no question. Okay, I actually started work illegally when I was 13 in a coffee shop, but we can't talk about that because I still think the UK police are after me for working illegally.
So you were way ahead of it. You were there, before you were 20, you were leading and running stages.
And then I went to college when I was 17, 18, but I was already working full-time. Started off as a production assistant, which we call runners back in the UK. I started as a PA when I was 17 years old. By 18, I was assistant floor manager. By 19, I was a floor manager. And then I went into scripted and immediately became a third. And then because the first quit, I went straight to becoming a first AD. So by the time I was 20 years old, I was the youngest first AD in Britain, probably.
Probably
Wow.
anywhere.
Right.
The bad side about that was like, well, I've just achieved my goal in life. I'm only 20, 21 years old. What do I do next?
And you're making a bunch of money, I'm guessing.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, life was good. But I was also like, I genuinely had almost like a midlife crisis, even at that young age, going, well, I've done everything I achieved to do. I didn't have aspirations to direct or produce at that time, but I was like, I'm here. Now what?
Yeah.
And everyone else that was also a first AD was 40 years old.
Right.
And here I am at 20. And I had PAs looking after me who just come out of university, and they were 25. And I'm running a set of 300 people. So it was, I was born to do it. It is the truth.
And what show were you working on, if you can remember, around that time when you were 19, 20?
There was a number of shows I was working on. The biggest one I worked on was a scripted show called Dream Team, which was a soap opera around soccer. It was a teenage sort of. It would have been on. I can't think of an equivalent show that's on right now.
Yeah.
It was. Shoot, I'm trying to think. There was no music involved, put it that way. But it was a scripted soap opera show that was a bit like Glee, I suppose.
Okay.
But replaced the music with football and soccer when I talk about football.
Right.
And that was on then Sky Network, which was the original, I suppose, cable channels for the UK back in the day.
Still huge.
It's still huge, yeah. So what happened after that? So you sort of achieved your goal. You had done it. You had done what you thought was everything. Then what was the next step?
So I worked on a series called Gladiators. Over here it was called American Gladiators with the big, muscly men.
One of my
I worked on
shows.
that in the UK.
Me
One of your
too.
favorite shows?
Me too.
Hell yeah.
Remember the blonde gladiator? What was her name?
I don't know. Blaze, maybe.
Blaze, yes.
There was,
great.
all I remember coming to America is my first time came to America. And there was a gladiator called Viper. And the crowd was shouting out, Viper needs a diaper, Viper needs a diaper. And that was my first experience with an American crowd. And Gladiators, which we produced in the UK, was sold to Australia. And the Australian production company said, do you want to come to Australia and work on Gladiators in Australia for the Seven Network for a month? And I was actually about 20 years old at the time, maybe a little bit younger, actually. And I accepted. The visa situation was very easy for me to move to Australia from the UK. So I moved over there for a month and stayed for a year.
Wow.
I loved
Did
it
you love
so
it?
much.
You loved it, yeah.
I loved it so much. And I went back to the UK for a short period and then moved permanently back to Australia because the weather was wonderful. And there was great opportunities for me there as well because as an AD back there was such a small, and it sounds crazy, but it's such a small industry. I got to work in sport, in scripted, in reality television. It was also the birth of reality television in Australia because the technology had changed so much that now we were using something called AVIDs.
Right.
AVIDs on computers. But before then, we didn't have AVIDs. Everything was tape, and you could never make those shows that we make now when we were shooting on tape.
It was linear.
Cost,
Yeah, it was
when
linear.
The cost of all those tapes and trying to figure out how to edit those shows was impossible, basically. So AVID was sort of birthed in that period in 1998, 1999.
That's right.
Wow.
Which is what successfully made the reality shows as we see them now. Without AVID, there wouldn't be those reality shows. And I worked on a show for the Seven Network called Pop Stars, which was the original American Idol.
Is that crazy?
Man.
Had you heard of Pop Stars?
I did.
You did?
I've heard of pop stars. Now that you mention it, yes. I
Yes,
have.
right?
Well, Pop Stars, when I worked in Australia, we actually sold the format. It was more successful than American Idol and Pop Idol. It sold to 54 countries around the world. Every one of those countries had a number one band and a number one album, a number one single. And it was sold to the United States as well. Unfortunately, the Americans produced it so poorly
we messed it
that
up.
it wasn't successful. Because, in my opinion, Pop Stars should have been what happened with American Idol.
Right.
But it didn't happen. They changed the format in so many ways that it just didn't work. And the big thing they were missing, obviously, was Simon Cowell.
Right. So you're working on Pop Stars, which is really groundbreaking. No one's done this yet.
No, we literally had producers, and it was such a cheap production. You could never make that show in America for what we made it for in Australia. The producers were running around with cameras. We edited ourselves.
Wow.
Half the time we did our own audio. It really was an amazing to be a producer. You learn every stage of production in Australia because there was such a cheap production. But we introduced home stories. We're the first show to ever go back to someone's hometown and see where they're from and see what they do for a living. So you care about them before we sing or before before the Simon Cowell equivalent, destroys them or makes them the next superstar.
Were there judges?
There were 3 judges.
Holy mackerel. This sounds exactly like a show I know.
And the original Simon Cowell was a guy called Chris Moss who worked at Warner Music Australia. And he was the first person. We had open auditions. We're the first show to ever do open auditions where anybody can turn up and sing in Australia. And, we expected 50 people. 3,000 turned up. And there was only like 4 producers going, we don't know what to do. How do we handle this?
Yeah.
And we had this guy called Chris Moss who stood up, basically. Someone would come out and sing. And he turned around and went, wow, you really sound like I'm strangling a bunch of cats. And those were his very words. And that was the birth of the nasty judge of let's tell someone they really suck.
Yeah.
And was it controversial? Was it popular?
It
Both?
was the number one show in Australia by a landslide.
Wow.
It was, suddenly we went as a television show. We took the 7 network, which was the number 2 network for its history of television in Australia, suddenly became the number 1 network. The series got obviously commissioned immediately for a second series. They commissioned another bunch of episodes in the first series, and it just went gangbusters. It was on the front page, that water cooler effect.
Yeah.
And no television show had ever really done that in
Wow.
Australia. An Australian production in Australia.
That's amazing. So you do Pop Stars. It's an enormous success. You take a network to number 1. Now, there's no American Idol, and I know that you worked on American Idol, and I know that your father worked on American Idol. So where's the jump from Pop Star to American Idol? How does that happen?
That's a funny story too, because at the time I was working with a company called Screen Time who produced Pop Stars, and we were looking at selling it to the old company I worked with, Sky, a network, cable network, I suppose, is the equivalent in the UK. And my father came over to visit me in Australia, and I literally said, "You've got to buy this show for the UK." My dad at the time was the head of ITV, or London Weekend Television as it was at the time, and I gave him the old VHS tapes and said, "Take these back with you. You want to make this in the UK. You don't understand how this show has changed Australian television. We've basically made the Pop Stars the saying, which is like a 1980s saying. We've reinvented Pop Stars, and we've created a group that's in Australia as big as the Spice Girls."
Wow.
That's what the premise was let's launch our equivalent of the Spice Girls. So we had a group called Bardo, and they went straight to number 1, and Series 2 had another.
Wow.
And it was huge. And as I said, after the success in Australia, we sold all around the world. And it sold in the UK to my dad, and he made himself the nasty judge and became Nasty Nige in the UK.
Nasty Nige.
And then from there, Pop Stars was so successful in the UK that the man who created the Spice Girls, Simon Fuller, came to him and said, "Let's form our own company with my father Nigel, and let's make Pop Stars into a pop idol. And this time, let's make, rather than, because in Pop Stars, the 3 judges decide who wins." And the phone voting had come in, and he basically said, Simon Fuller said, and Nigel, my dad, said, let's find the pop idol and make a phone vote and let England decide, or I should say, the UK decide who is the pop idol.
And that's how it happened.
That's how Pop Idol began. And then, obviously, the success of Pop Idol outshone Pop Stars with people voting, and it was all that kind of stuff. And then they pitched it to the United States, and every network said no.
I know this
didn't
story
want it.
because that's the classic story about American Idol, right? Is that it was not that popular as an idea.
Well, at that time, the United States, the networks were very close to outside productions, quite
Right.
honestly. They were very introvert. America was like, we've got what we do. We have our agent system. We have our development departments. Why would a producer from the UK, tell us how to make a television show? And it was actually Elizabeth Murdoch in the UK, who was running Shine at the time, called up her dad, Rupert, at Fox, and said, "You've got to buy this show. You don't understand. The UK's gone crazy. On the front page of every newspaper is not the news. They're talking about Pop Idol and the launch of the new band called Hearsay at the time." And
So let me ask you, before you go on, in Australia, you did Pop Star, and the winner of Pop Star, they became a big group?
they became the number 1 group.
Number
It was
one
number 1
group.
album, number 1 single.
And then when it got made in the UK, did that group become then?
In every single country, the Pop Stars, bar 1, which was Denmark, I believe, every single country had a number 1 album, number 1 single, number 1 band.
That's remarkable.
This is 54 countries, and that's when I left. So I don't even know how many countries it was ended up being made in. This is like including China, including Vietnam, Russia,
Wow.
That's
Italy,
remarkable.
France. Pick a country.
So it worked.
Brazil, Argentina. They all had, including the United States. They had a group. Nicole Scherzinger was in
right.
it. She
Yeah,
actually
I know
won
which
Pop
one.
Stars, and they became a number 1 selling single and album.
That's remarkable. So when did Simon Cowell come into the picture?
That's an interesting story. Originally, my dad Nigel was looking for that nasty judge. He already knew Simon Cowell at the time. He repped the Spice Girls, and he's looking for an A&R person in the music industry. And Simon Cowell looked at Pop Stars and went, "This is never going to work. It's not going to be successful. Pop Stars is so 1980s." And so Simon Cowell said no to Pop Stars, which created my dad, Nasty Nigel. And as soon as Pop Stars was successful in the UK, Simon Cowell went, "I've made a terrible mistake. I should have said yes." along comes Simon Fuller. There's too many Simons in this show, including my own
There's
name.
a lot of Simons there.
Hey, look, in England, everyone's either called Simon or Nigel. You can't go wrong with one of those names. We're going to be called one or the other. So Simon Fuller came along with my dad. They made Pop Idol. And what happened was Pop Idol, they had to make Pop Idol different from Pop Stars. So they went back to Simon Cowell and said, would you be a judge on this show, Pop Idol? Because at the time when I was working in Australian Pop Stars, the production company basically sued my father and sued the network, saying Pop Idol has destroyed Pop Stars. You've ripped off our format, and we're going to sue you for it. They ended up settling out of court, and it ended up sort of all going away because the format was different enough. There is quite a substantial differences in them. Obviously, the vote is a huge difference, and there's a studio element to American Idol or, Pop Idol, which Pop Stars didn't have. Pop Stars was much more of a reality show, following the band and everything.
There's a common denominator though, and that's you. You see,
well, there is that. There is that.
That's a little complicated, I would think.
So
right?
Simon Cowell was actually born out of the necessity to make Pop Idol different from Pop Stars. And Nasty Nigel couldn't do both shows because it was too similar.
So then Simon Cowell did Pop Idol.
He did Pop Idol. That was where that's where it all began for Simon Cowell. Then they sold American Idol, and Simon Cowell didn't originally want to come to do American Idol. He was like, it's never going to work. Americans are different.
Did Fox want him?
Not really.
No, okay. Interesting.
Not really at the time.
Interesting.
No, they were like, okay, it was actually my father and his partner, Ken Warwick, they were fighting for, no, America needs another British villain who's going to tell him like it is. Talking of stereotyping people. Why are all the Brits always the villains? That's right. They wanted Simon Cowell, my dad and Ken, and they fought for him. And at the time, his salary was a measly, nothing. Right. And because of that, he would only sign up for 1 year on his contract. Fox only wanted him for 1 year, which meant when season 2 came around for American Idol, and we literally went to New York City. This is a great example. In New York City, season 1, there was like 50 or 60 people turned up to audition. For season 2, we turned up and there were 9,000 people outside our hotel room. And we had the police out there saying, what are you doing? We're shutting you down. And there was 3 producers, myself, a guy called Patrick Lynn, and another producer, Rhonda Shea, going, I don't know what we do. I mean, we had one security guard for 3,000. No, we only had wristbands. We had wristbands for 1,500 people. Over 3 days, we were going to audition 500 people a day. We had 9,000 people lined up outside our bedroom door.
So
we ended up seeing 3,000 out of the 9,000.
Oh, you
but
did?
It was a disaster.
Okay.
We had, as we were trying to audition these people, we had people holding banners saying Fox sucks. We had people saying false advertising because you said open auditions.
Oh, no.
And there was 3 of us with 9,000 people.
Whoa.
And was this? There was no judges at this audition.
So
right?
we had to. We literally invented on American Idol a new way to audition people because you have to understand this is before Skype, this is before internet, this is before you could video yourself on an iPhone or anything like that. We still got regular cell phones and we had to go to the people to audition for us back in those days. It's different how the auditions work now.
Yeah.
But back then it was a disaster. What can I tell you? The season 2 of American Idol auditions were a disaster. We learned the hard way. In season 3, we rented stadiums and we filled them.
Wow.
Yeah.
We auditioned over 100,000 people a season.
Wow.
It was a very different show. That's how big this show got.
So each time it grew.
I think, yes. And it peaked, and I want to say in season... Carrie Underwood's year was pretty impressive. It was actually the following year after Carrie Underwood was probably the largest crowd we got. And we had to, as I said, change and invent a new way to audition people because there's no way you can audition 150,000 people.
But that was already 6 seasons in or so, right?
She was actually season 4.
Okay.
And season 5, Taylor Hicks. And then season 7 were the I'm just talking about auditions here.
Yeah.
The biggest amount of crowds we saw was season 6 and 7.
Wow.
So, I mean, look, we're talking about one of the biggest shows in television history.
On Earth. Wow.
This is a show that changed television.
And it's not only just television. I don't think people even appreciate what American Idol did. And this is crazy, but we taught people how to text each other.
Right.
Literally, Ryan Seacrest went, this is how you text America.
Yeah.
He held up the
Right.
iPhone and went, or before then, it was even before an
Right.
iPhone. So this is how you text. So, I'd like to say you're welcome, America, but I'm really sorry.
It changed everything.
I sort of thought about looking back on American Idol was the timing. I think timing in this business is everything. Absolutely everything. You can have the best idea, but it doesn't make any difference unless the timing is right. And I think American Idol, the reason it was so successful is 9/11 had just happened. And I think the American psyche had been knocked. Suddenly the mainland's under attack. The American dream is under attack. Along comes a show like American Idol, and you can be turning burgers 1 minute, and in 3 months' time, you'll be on the front cover of Rolling Stones magazine.
Yeah.
In 6 months, you're going to have a platinum-selling album and a record deal. And guess what? America decided, and they put you there.
That's true.
That's the American dream right there, from rags to riches. And along came this show at the timing that was absolutely perfect to a bunch of networks and agents that said this show's never going to work.
Right.
And because of that, I think that had this idea of what works and what doesn't work, comes the creative show that goes, you know what? Let's show these people who Carrie Underwood is, and that she comes from this small country town called Chakotah. And guess what? She can sing, and she's amazing. And the biggest surprise to all of us was, thank God for Kelly Clarkson.
Right.
Because what a voice that lady had.
Yeah.
The last person to audition in Texas as a cocktail waitress.
Right.
That, to me, still has one of the most amazing angelic voices I've ever heard in my life.
Absolutely.
Well,
And I've heard a few voices in my time. So.
Yeah.
She has a beautiful voice. She has a wonderful presence. And she has a really good ability to pick songs. I don't know about the one that won the show. That was always my least favorite Kelly Clarkson song. I don't know if you have a story about that.
No
but
comment.
That was definitely my least favorite.
Official Secrets Act covers that one as well.
But she has picked a lot of great songs. I don't know how people do that. I don't know how they pick songs, but somehow she's picked things that fit her. And she has, I don't know. I'm assuming she's exceeded expectations.
Oh, she's also one of the most down-to-earth people I know. She's such a sweet, lovely lady. And she stayed that way. She's still that Texas person we met all those years ago. I really love Kelly. I've got a big soft spot for her. She's great.
You've said so much. I want to congratulate you on so far where we're at, because that's a pretty amazing career.
It's a team effort.
Well, I don't know.
It's a team effort.
You grabbed your bags and moved from country to country.
Without Kelly Clarkson, American Idol wouldn't have been what it was. Without Ruben Studdard, and what a great thing that American Idol did was bring families together.
Right.
Family television was almost reinvented, and everyone had their favorites. And what a great thing that Ruben Studdard and Clay Aiken could stand up there and get 4 times the amount of votes the President of the United States did.
Wow.
Yeah, true.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Anne's going to hate that I'm telling this story, but we got married in 2002, and I don't know who was on American Idol in 2002. All I know is that
Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard.
Okay, so we were in Hawaii on our honeymoon, and we were on a day trip of Oahu, right, taking the drive, and all we could think about is how do we get back to the house by 7 p.m. so we could watch American Idol tonight.
Wow.
And we did. We made it. Somehow we rushed, we got some food, we ran back, and the honeymoon trip, we had to watch that American Idol on Tuesday. I don't remember what night it was. It may have been a Tuesday. But we had to watch it. It was absolutely something that was part of our lives, and we had to see it. Otherwise, we felt like something was missing.
Well, Anne Lewis Roberts failed to mention she was a fan of the show, so that makes me feel very humbled.
Oh, my gosh. Well, apparently you were producing that year, so that's amazing.
And it was a very surreal experience because you didn't really know how big the show was. I mean, you get the figures, right? We were averaging 32 million. The second show behind us was averaging 8 million. So I knew we were successful, but until I went back to Clay Aiken for his top 3 home story when you take him back and they closed the streets. And Carrie Underwood is another whole story because that was insane. There was this small town with no stop sign, with one stop sign, and 30,000 people turned up to see her. There was only like 800 people who lived in a village.
One stop sign on the plane.
I remember with Clay Aiken, we flew back, and the Durham Bulls baseball team, and at the time I was very not American, put it that way. So I was English, Australian, whatever you want to call me. Now I'm American. I'm proud to say I'm American now. But back then I was very foreign, and I land in a baseball stadium, the Durham Bulls, in North Carolina, so to watch Clay throw out the first pitch at this game. Now I watched him throw out the first pitch, and then everyone left the baseball stadium. They only came to see Clay throw a baseball pitch. They didn't come to watch the baseball.
Wow.
And there was like 20 people left in the stadium that had filled up with 30,000 people
And they all left.
to see him throw a pitch. And then we went over to the governor's mansion to reveal what song he was singing on the finale. And we were driving through thousands and thousands of people trying to get to the governor's mansion.
Whoa.
And that was my wake-up call of, this show is something that I have never experienced in my life and will probably never experience ever again.
Right.
Because television is not the same as it used to be. Now with streaming, it's a very different kettle of fish.
Whole other thing.
A whole other thing. And it was truly a highlight of my life. I'm so blessed to have been part of something so amazing.
And we're lucky that we got to witness it, really.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Let's give credit where credit is due, though, okay? Understanding that your father is a juggernaut, he's done amazing work. Let's just say you have done your own thing, and for all intents and purposes, you discovered American Idol. We're saying it here.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Because that's
it was a team effort, and it was.
Of course, it always is. But you've paved your road on your own, and you've done a great job.
You give me a lot of credit for, as I said, it is a team effort, and I do have to say that in any job I've always done, I've always just tried to do the best I can do. And I know it sounds silly. I always give a bit of my soul to whatever show I work on.
Right.
And I think it came across in American Idol. It comes across in Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, and that is a bit of me on that screen, and a bit of everyone else. And I expect that of the people I work with as well. And you just pour your soul into this show because it does take over your life at the end of the day. And American Idol did. We were on the road for 6 months of the year, traveling the country or holding auditions, and we become a big family. The people you work with, the contestants you work with as they go on. I'm still friends. In fact, one of my dearest friends is Jasmine Trias, who came third on American Idol in season 3.
That's right.
She just performed on Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings for me.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
She's Hawaiian. We had a Hawaiian episode. I bring her back on. And at the end of the day, it's who you enjoy working with, who you have to love the people you work with.
Yeah.
Because otherwise life is just too short.
Right.
You don't want to work with anybody you don't like working with.
Well,
Yeah,
one
sure.
thing I know about Disney Weddings is that you've brought an element of music to it, of performance, of high-level talent. And it's just great to see because you think about American Idol and you think about those great performances and how they were covered. And you can feel there are moments in Disney Fairy Tale Weddings where there's a performance and you feel a lot of great energy about it.
One of the things I've realized over the years in my career is that people don't really watch television. They listen to television.
Right.
And it's even more so true now because how many times you sit in front of the TV, you've got your iPad sitting on your lap,
Yeah.
you got your phone in your hand, and you're researching stuff on Wikipedia. I know I do it every other day. You're looking up stuff as you're watching television. So people listen to television, and that shows me that how important music is to a wedding, to quite actually any scene in a film, any scene on anything. The music drives it, the impact, the sound effects. The music tells you, in a way, how to feel. And that's why American Idol, one of the reasons American Idol was so successful, is the music touched your soul and you got into the music and it got you excited. It can make you cry.
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't got that song that's got those memories attached to it, that's got a story attached to it that really touches you? And that's what we did with American Idol. And that's exactly what we do with Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, which is why music to me, when we first did the first special, and I was like, originally the format of Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings was just follow the staff backstage and we're going to follow them as they make a wedding. And I was like, no thanks, that sounds really boring. How about with Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, we give the bride and groom their fairy tale, and how about we take it one step further, find out what the fairy tale is, and say they want to walk down the aisle to, they love the film Grease, let's get Olivia Newton-John singing there live. How are they going to react to that? Because we can pick a great song, Olivia's going to, whatever she's going to sing, but we specifically cater it to that wedding couple and make sure the music connects with the viewers at home, and then we have got a winning combination and a great show.
Yeah, I mean, you, as you mentioned before, you and ALR
And Lewis
Roberts produced the show together, and I think the combination of you guys has just obviously made a great show. When you did the original program, I think she said to me that you were having the Pentatonics on. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Pentatonics. You wouldn't think so, but I am. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, how are you getting the Pentatonics on the show? And she was like, Simon knows them, and they're going to be on the show. And then that sort of set the tone for, I suppose, what was coming next.
Yeah, I mean, relationships in this business, as you know, is everything. It's who you know. It's not what you know. You can go and study in film schools, and go to universities. It all helps. But the truth is that if you don't have the relationships, you're going nowhere. Yeah. And I started such an early age. And thankfully, having American Idol on my resume, as it were, you get a respect for that. I've created some great artists, some great shows. I've worked with big talent.
How did you work with Pentatonics?
I'd actually worked with their producer. Beforehand. So I got an introduction from their producer. Yeah. And I'd actually never performed with them until Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings. But the producer had a respect for me, and I told him what I wanted to do with the show, and I told them about the fairy tale, and the couple in question was a huge fan of theirs. I was a huge fan of the song Hallelujah myself, and I just knew it was it's one of my favorite songs of all time, and I knew it was for a lot of other people. So that's why I produced it so it would go that direction with that song. With Pentatonics. And then I actually approached them, the management. Of course, they immediately said yes, because I had a relationship with them. And I was like, please do me this one favor. I promise you I'll make it look good. And then I didn't tell anyone at Disney, because I was actually fearful that they'd say, no, this is a reality show, not a performance show.
But you had a gut feeling it was going to be great, right?
Well, I always knew it was going to be great. That's just from my own experience.
Right.
I know what I could do with the show, and I knew I already had a vision in my head of how to direct it and how to make it look spectacular. I'd already had it all mapped out in my head before I approached Disney, but I almost left it too late for them to say no.
Right.
I'd already signed up the band, I'd got the set built, and I knew everything was going to happen. And then I literally, a week beforehand, I was like, and by the way, as she walks down the aisle, she's walking down the aisle to Pentatonics, we've cleared the music and we've done all the right things, Pentatonics will be singing it live. And I just saw their faces just like, I'm sorry, what? And it was a little bit of a battle, not much of a battle, but it was a battle to say, yeah, no, they're coming, I've already booked them. And then what came of it was now everyone on the wedding is like, can I please have Sting at my next wedding? I'd like Maroon 5.
But that goes to show you, it speaks volumes for you as a professional, the respect that you have, because you don't just get the Pentatonics, you don't just get artists that you don't know personally through a producer unless that producer respects you a lot. So hats off to you. You've obviously done it correctly. You've obviously done it with integrity. Otherwise, that doesn't happen.
Oh, no, I really care for my artists. I make sure their music is treated with the respect it deserves, and I make sure they're happy. Success breeds success.
How great
in this country!
Amazing. I want to hear. I want you to rattle off the artists that have been on Disney Fairy Tale Weddings, because this is impressive. Do you remember?
I do.
Okay, tell me. Come on.
Oh goodness me! I'm not even sure I can reveal all of them because they haven't aired yet.
Oh, okay. Let's reveal it early on.
Jason Derulo.
Jason Derulo. That's a big one.
We had Olivia Newton-John.
She's huge.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
And she's such a pleasure to work with, and got to be the loveliest lady on the planet, or at least one of the loveliest ladies.
Yeah. Aren't they all streaming, or do they come out every week?
So they're streaming every week. They come out every Friday at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So tomorrow you get episode number 4.
Okay. You get an idea of what's coming.
Yeah.
Right? By Jason Derulo, Olivia Newton-John, and the Pentatonics.
And we try to keep it, I know it sounds silly, you can get the names, but we try to keep it specific for that couple. We had Hunter Hayes as our country. We had a country fan who was a big fan of Hunter Hayes, and they go up to their first dance, and without them knowing, the curtains are part. So they start dancing, and they're dancing their favorite song, and the curtains part. In the middle of the song, Hunter Hayes comes out and sings it live for them.
I'm pretty sure that if I was getting married and you had some performer that I didn't know, I'd be pretty bummed. So it makes sense that you will have performers that these guys they tell you, right?
And it's not always performers. Like we had a couple that loved hockey, so we got them the Stanley Cup to be at their wedding as they danced around it for their first dance. They were
they
crazy.
Pumped?
Oh
were
my
they
God,
excited?
their reaction was insane.
That's so
we
great.
Had, the biggest reaction was in episode 1 of this series. She grew up next to the Ohio. Sorry, I have to say it right. The Ohio State Band. You have to put the in there. It's very important, apparently. But we got the Ohio State Band there to come out. They literally said, I do and I do at the wedding. And the Ohio State Band comes out of nowhere. And this lady had a meltdown. She just got married and she died. It was the most wonderful reaction.
This is truly Disney fairy tale weddings. I mean, it's a fairy tale. These people get not only performances or performers that they love or songs that they love, but you get the Stanley Cup. You get
the Ohio State Band.
You get the Ohio State Band, which is pretty amazing. So what an amazing show. Congratulations. What a cool thing to be part of, right?
I'm very proud of it. It's just one of those, and this, with everything else falling apart, with viruses here and the elections here, and it's just like, let's just watch some beautiful television that's heartwarming and brings a family together again. And that's what we did with American Idol. That's what I try and do with Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings. And it's not, you think weddings, you go, oh, it's a chick flick. That's kind of, probably shouldn't say that, but it's not, actually. Right. It's a family show. And every television show I try to produce, I'm like, what brings a family together where we can sit together and just enjoy television again?
Well, if I ever plan to get married, just have Morrissey on deck.
Morrissey, that's all? You don't want much. All right, so I have to talk to you about something. We are big fans of a company called ExtremeMusic.com.
Me too.
Are you?
I'm probably a bigger fan than you.
Likely. Russ Emanuel, who started the thing, been doing it for a lot of years, has, as you know, an amazing array of composers that write music in all different genres. Now, I did, prior to the show, know that American Idol, on occasion, used Extreme Music. Explain to me how that happens.
Well, when you watch any of my shows, to be honest with you, I've worked with Extreme Music Libraries since I came to the United States. We use them. It's going to sound, God, I sound so old when you say this, but it's like the birth of the internet, when we used to be able to stream music, and Napster came out and this came out, and on any television show, you have to, in America at least, not in other countries, by the way, but in America, you have to license every single song you use. So you go to a music library and you put on whatever music makes you feel, as I said, how important music is to me. Music is everything to me.
Yeah.
It makes you cry. It makes you feel like a wedding. It makes you want to walk down the aisle. It makes you want to celebrate. Whatever it is, music is the driving force behind television. And on American Idol, you want a country song where Carrie Underwood from in Chakotah, Oklahoma, then I'll put on a country song. And the place I used to go to for that was Extreme Music Library, because they had the best, biggest library that could go, I need a country song. And it was, for me as a television producer, you buy the library and then everything is, as far as I'm concerned, technically free. And what a great library they had. So it started with American Idol, and then I went on to work with Steven Spielberg and Mark Burnett on another show called On the Lot, and they used that library. And so I became a big fan, and they've got the great system of just go online and say, hey, I want something that sounds like Star Trek. And next thing you know, they'll send you back 10 songs that sound similar to it that's you can own, basically, or put on your TV show without having to pay a fortune for it.
Right.
So I've used it on every production since I've come to the United States to meet this guy, Russ, because I think he needs to buy me a drink or something.
I think he owes you. Hey, Russ, listen up, buddy. You got to come down here and buy some drinks.
But what you don't know is on Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, obviously I get the reports on the show and people asking questions and what people think of it. Everyone asks us, where is this track? I want to buy this track. And if it's not, the celebrity singing like Chris Jansen or Pentatonics or, Jason Derulo, then it's off Extreme Music Library. Wow. And everyone asks me, where's this track from, as she walks down the aisle? Because we don't want to pay, a lot of brides use this music to walk down the aisle. We're like, we're not going to pay that for this. We'll use Extreme Music Library. So we typically, I want to say 100% of the time, take off that music and put on our own music. And our own music is Extreme Music Library.
Nice.
And then we get calls up, people saying, where's this music from? I want to buy it.
They want to get married to it.
Actually, it's Extreme Music Library. You can't get it like that.
We've been preaching this for a long time. I mean, I've used Extreme in my movies. I've used Extreme. The entire library was used on Mexico's Next Top Model. And it's funny because, and I'm guessing that you're like this too. I love driving music. I love music that feels like it's taking you somewhere. And when I did Mexico's Next Top Model, it had to drive because it was like a catwalk. You know, they were always like performing and taking pictures, and it had to feel like you were going somewhere. And Extreme really did have so many tracks that I was like, wow, this is amazing. I feel like I have found everything, every type of music that I want to find. So I'm really glad you said that. Thank you for spending some time on that, because I think it's interesting. And actually, you know, if I was going to give some advice to our sponsor, I'm going to say, maybe you should make the songs, especially the ones that are on the wedding show, available, because it sounds like people may be getting married to these tracks in the future. All right. Well, extrememusic.com for all your music needs. All right, Simon.
We're pitching it tonight.
Extreme Dating. Let's do it.
Souls. Can we get Ann Lewis Roberts involved, please?
Yeah, please. I mean, you've had a storybook career.
Yeah, with it, I know it sounds crazy. It sounds really successful. I've also had the darkest days when you suddenly can't sell a show for 3 years.
Right.
It's the strangest business. There is no rhyme or reason. The key to it is consistency and just putting up with the bad times, because the good times are around the corner.
When you're successful, and I think this is for most of us, you have a short memory about what was going wrong, don't you?
Yes. That's a very simple answer, that one.
Yeah.
What do you mean something went wrong? Nothing went wrong.
Nothing
what are you
went
talking
wrong.
about?
But you do. So there have been ups and downs in your career, but it really, the peaks of it show and are very bright.
Yeah, I've had a very blessed life, and I've really enjoyed the peaks, the downs.
Yeah, Disney Fairy Tale Weddings is an amazing show. It's beautiful. It's so well produced, and congratulations on that. I hope you guys get to do 10 more seasons of that.
I'm very proud of it.
What's next?
So right now, I'm actually working on a pilot for CBS with John Legend is our partner on it, and I'm very, very excited about it.
It's weird that it's John Legend, considering you're not really that involved with music.
Right. So we're going to get him on Disney's Fairy Tale Wedding Season 3.
Are you?
Oh, wow.
Well, if we get Season 3, I'd love it.
If you're working with him, right?
Yes.
Well, and can you talk about that show that you're
I can
developing?
actually.
Yeah, tell me
because
about
it's
it.
called Love at First Song, and it's American Idol. I say it's American Idol meets The Bachelor, but it's not really The Bachelor. I find The Bachelor a little bit corny, and I'm trying to avoid that. But we're going to try and find the next great American duo with chemistry to make the next superstar.
And who better than you and John Legend? That's amazing.
He's a legend, that guy.
He really is. He's tremendous. Well, we wish you tons of luck. Break legs. And you know, we obviously you're in mid-career, so we can't wait to see what else you do. I'm sure it's going to be terrific. Let me ask you a question before I let you go. What do you think of the landscape now? I mean, it's obviously changing at, light speed. Like every year, it's some other way of watching media. How has that changed how you create shows?
It's actually changed a lot of how I've created shows. And we were the first show on Disney Plus that's a reality show. Like, we call ourselves a reality show, but we're a hybrid show. Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings is a hybrid show between talent, a performance show, and a reality show. And we were the first sort of transition between a cable network on Freeform to a streaming network. And I learned a lot from that. And I actually think we're living in a golden age of television right now, which, God bless television right now, because it's quite fantastic how budgets are, how streaming works, and we get to pick and choose what we want to watch. That's never happened in our lifetimes until now. And I think when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, there was a television period in the late 70s and early 80s that was classed as the golden age of television. And then budgets come back and the accountants take over, and how can we make more money? Right now, that doesn't matter. Right now, it's content is king.
That's
by
exactly
a long, long way. And I think it's the most amazing time to be living and producing television in this.
And it doesn't
town
even
right
have
now.
to be television. It can be
anything.
Anything.
Opportunities are everything right now. For a creative person like me, which the end goal to me isn't actually money. The end goal to me is to make the best television I can make and entertain the most amount of television viewers I can make, and just make the best craft I can make. At the end of the day, the money will come second. It doesn't matter about the money. It's about viewers and entertainment, right?
Yeah.
We are in that golden age. And Freeform originally, who let Anne and myself just gave us Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings and said, go off and make the show.
Yeah.
We didn't have a huge budget on Freeform, but we had enough to make it successful.
Yeah.
And Kerry just let us make that show, and then it was so successful that it went to Disney Plus. And Disney Plus, we were the first show to launch on Disney Plus in that reality performance area. And because it was in that infant stage, Disney Plus went, here's your money, go make the show.
Right.
And we did. And I think it really shows.
Well, huge shout out to Carrie McCool for sure, because she's an enormously talented executive. I know she worked closely with my wife for years and years on many things, and I know that you guys are friends. But I do know that she's a big reason that Disney Weddings is on the air. So definitely want to shout out to her. And look, you're on the show today. We're talking about you. And although it feels like we're ignoring a lot of people, that's not true at all. I think that we all understand that lots of people have to do with the success of shows. So we want to absolutely give credit to everyone who works on these programs. But today's about you. And you've had a great career, my friend.
Yep.
Thank you.
Quibi.
Yes.
Do you think there's any possibility that you could do a performance type show that would air on Quibi?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to see that because I don't have time for a weekly 1 hour program about singing. I'd like to see it on Quibi.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I completely agree with you. And I've already got things in the head here that
I cannot wait because that I'd like to see. I just don't have time for an hour of it anymore.
Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, I do mean unfortunately, because I think Quibi and those kind of programming and YouTube is the future.
Yeah.
That with the younger generation, with our attention spans and what goes on, I think 15 minutes, 5 minutes of television is it's where it's heading. And you asked me a question about the streaming difference. The biggest streaming difference was we went from 42 minutes of content on it was 42 minutes of content on Freeform to literally on Disney Plus. We went down to 30 minutes of content.
Oh, is that true?
And it makes a much stronger show for me because now you really it's fast, it's
You're flying
furious,
through it.
but it's a great number.
Yeah.
It keeps your attention span for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, you got the 2 hours of television. They're gone are those days. Who wants to sit there for 3 hours and watch a live broadcast?
It's
not
hard.
going to happen.
Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations to Anne, Carrie, everyone at Disney.
Critical content.
We want to shout out to Jenny Daly, Critical Content, right? You guys are all partners in all of this. It was great to have you on. I'm telling you, I really wanted to get a perspective from a producer on television. And I think, like the thing to remember if you're out there is keep trying, keep producing things that you care about. Understand that the marketplace is wide open right now. Ideas, even if someone says you're going to fail at it or it's not a great idea,
Yeah, just keep
pushing
Got to
it,
keep
you know?
going, man.
You can make your own show on YouTube. How about that?
that's right. Or
Yeah.
you can make your own show on
If
YouTube
you're
now.
passionate about it, just keep pursuing your passion. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you do. If you love it, you're going to succeed. I know it sounds crazy, but you are. It doesn't matter if it gets no viewers on YouTube. If you love doing it, you've been successful.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you so
Hopefully
much.
you'll come back again when you've got your new show, whatever the new show is, or if there's another season of Disney Weddings, which we hope there is. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time on Let's Get Into It.
Perfect.
Cool. That was awesome.
Thank you, mate.